Eat when you should. And drink. Don't be annoying. We are all at this age. We are dying anyway. Who cares about us? No one cares about you. Don't show yourself as a coward. Uncle Jin is a famous person in Old Beijing, with his skills as a barber. He is well known among the older generation. Although Uncle Jin is 92 years old, he still insists on providing door-to or service. In his eyes, customers are not divided into high and low. All the customers who came to him for a haircut, he treats them equally. Comfortable. Every morning, Jin gets up on time every morning, set the 5-minute clock. Then, and combs his silver hair neatly. He rides a tricycle to cut hair for his regular customers, although there are many barbershops on the street. But the regular customers only recognize Jing's skills. How many years have you been getting a haircut? I've been cutting hair for over 20 years. You weren't born then. Hey, what's wrong with you? I'm over 50 years old. There are many craftsmen like Uncle Jing. Then Jing went to Lao Mi's home. Although Lao Mi is a decade younger than Jing, but his body is obviously not as strong as Jing. Plus his children are not around. Lao Mi's later life is particularly lonely. Every time Uncle Jin came to give him a haircut, he would sit beside him and chat about family affairs while they were talking. The water on the stove has been boiled. Jin began his work like this. He put a steaming towel on his face, then uses a brush to lather up the soap, and then evenly applied it to Lao Mi's head. In a few minutes, he tittied out the old man neatly. And Lao Mi's mood also became cheerful. Uncle Jin didn't forget to remind his friend. Wear some new clothes. Wear the opposite side's clothes. The opposite house. After returning from Lao Mi's house, Jin found the demolition office was measuring the house. But his son was squatting in the corner without saying a word. In order to get more money after demolition, he directly built an extra room. According to the regulations, this new house would not be counted. Well, it doesn't matter. Sir, this time we need to verify again. Not just your family. All illegal buildings in the alley must be demolished. Let's start. We'll tear them down piece by piece. Hearing his father's reasonable words, the son standing nearby was really confused, but he knew he was wrong and didn't go forward until the demolition office left. The son expressed his dissatisfaction to Uncle Jing. After the demolition, 1 square meter is more than 10,000 yuan. Demolition tomorrow. Demolition tomorrow. Is there any movement now? When the demolition really happens, I'm already in a bad mood. Don't count the details. Dad, look what you're saying. Isn't this a detailed account? The eldest son's daughter-in-law is pregnant. You'll have a great-grandson soon. They still rent a house. The eldest son lost his job, and they quarrel every day. How much can I earn from my pension? I have high blood pressure, which is not enough to buy medicine. After hearing about his son's difficulty, Jin felt mixed emotions. He wanted to help, but was powerless. The next morning, with the sound of the clock, Jin woke up with a ray of sunshine. Woke up from his sleep. According to the calendar, he was going to cut Lao Zhao's hair today. Then he pedaled the old tricycle. Old tricycle. Lao Zhao was bedridden due to a stroke. And his son, who is busy with work, only visited him once every few months. Fortunately, the care of the neighbor's aunt. Lao Zhao's life is relatively comfortable. Uncle Jin's arrival has become a thing Lao Zhao looks forward to most every day. Then Uncle Jin took out his haircutting tools and trimmed Lao Zhao's hair to look especially smart. Look how energetic he is. Look, you look so energetic. How can you look like a sick person? Ah, wait a minute, I'll give you a tax break. The so-called tax release is now called massage. In the past, it was not offered to ordinary people. Only regular customers could enjoy this service. I feel this massage, how the word massage came into being. Now this is not authentic. Scare you, the experts, is to let all your snot and tears out. Detoxification. In the conversation between the two, it was learned Jin is not an ordinary person. He ran a barbershop when he was young, and a shopkeeper. People who came to him for a haircut were fuzui, such as Mei Lan Fang and the 4 great divas. These old people are no longer around. Even Jin's former regular customers have passed away. After serving more than 400 people, Zhao asked him to go to the drawer to take a large denomination bill, and this behavior is also a sign of absolute trust in Uncle Jin. But Uncle Jin has his own rules. He only charged 5 yuan for each haircut. At this time, Uncle Zhao started talking about his son again, because his son only gives him money. But he hasn't even come to see me for months. They just gave me some money to deceive me. They are just after my house. I've thought it through. When I die, I'll give my house to him. I'll give it to whoever is good to me. Come on. You seem to be thinking of my house. I mean, what I said. You Ray the witness. But Uncle Jing didn't respond at this time, because he goes to people's homes to cut hair. Never gets involved in other people's family affairs. In the blink of an eye, it was time for Lao Mi to get a haircut. Uncle Jin arrived on time as usual. But when he entered the room, he found the TV was on, and the photos on the wall proved that his old master had passed away. He lit a cigarette in the yard and quietly watched his old friend being carried away. After everyone left, Uncle Jin quenched the cigarette addiction in his hand and left silently. But on the way, he turned around and found that Mimi's cat had somehow followed him. Seeing this, Jin had to choose to take it in. When he got home, he sat in silence for a long time, and memories of Lao Mi came to his mind. Then he circled Lao Mi's name on the calendar, which meant he lost another old friend. Then the community's aunt came to him. She wanted to replace the second generation ID card, so she informed Jing to prepare a recent photo. I have an ID card. Having an ID card is not enough. This time, it's high-tech anti-counterfeiting. Valid for 20 years. After the community workers left, Jing talked to the cat that Lao Mi kept. He talked about it, as if he was talking to Lao Mi. Young man. Valid for 20 years. The next morning, Jing combed his hair neatly. He went to the photo studio to take a photo. In the afternoon, Jing gathered with some friends to play mahjong. During the game, they talked about the photos taken in the morning. After all, he hadn't taken a photo for over 20 years. At our age, one day we might close our eyes. There won't be a portrait in the hall. When Lao Mibu died like this, he found an old photo of himself in his 30s and asked his son to report it. Isn't this funny? Although Uncle Jin didn't say anything, he kept it in his mind. After all, he had been a barber all his life. He hoped to die cleanly. At night, he took out an album from the box. Looking at the young self in the photo, Jin felt deeply emotional. Who is this? Why don't I recognize myself? Oh my. The next day, Uncle Jin came to the photo studio to get the photo, but he was very dissatisfied when he saw them. The son, who didn't know the truth, started complaining. It's a good photo. Isn't it just for ID cards? It's good enough for your age. What else do you want? After that, the son began to complain to his father again. Because of his high blood pressure, he can't afford the medicine. His son was laid off, and his daughter-in-law is about to give birth. His pension couldn't support his family. After hearing this, silently took out his showbox, and then handed over his savings over the years to him, and told him to take care of himself. The son looked at the money in his hand and felt heartache. One day, Uncle Jing went to shave Lao Zhao's head, but no one answered after calling for a long time, which made Jing feel a sudden chill in his heart. And then the woman who had been taking care of Lao Zhao came out. Ah, Lao Zhao is gone. For several days. Jing was very sad after hearing that, but the woman said that Lao Zhao was picked up by his son to enjoy life. Only after hearing that, Jin changed his sadness to joy, and he was completely relieved. The woman complained in front of Jing in the moment, because Lao Zhao left without saying goodbye. Even the house he promised to give her was gone. He didn't even say goodbye when he left. He was ready too. Zhuang Lao's clothes and Yixiao are all left with me. Uncle Jing, do you feel upset? You listen, it's like a real thing. You've heard it before. What did he say to me in front of you? Isn't that treating people like fools? After hearing this, he still chose to be silent as usual. One day, a man came to the alley, who started asking about Jing's address. He was Lao Zhao's son. Since he took the old man away, his hair and beard grew long, and he wouldn't let anyone touch them. That's why he took Jin to his home. Oh, don't say you don't want to go. I don't want to come either. It's such a long way. It's not enough to pay for my gas to come here. He made trouble on the first day. He insisted on going back to his shabby house. He didn't think about why should those neighbors serve him. The house is going to be demolished soon. It's worth 7 or 800,000 yuan. The land is expensive. When they arrived, Lao Zhao's daughter-in-law blocked the door, insisting that Jin change his shoes before entering. Jin had a glorious life. This was the first time he had received such treatment. Fortunately, he didn't care about it. He hurried to visit Lao Zhao. But at this time, Lao Zhao covered his head with the quilt and made uncomfortable sounds from time to time. Although the environment here is better, he felt uncomfortable all over. Hearing that Jin was coming, the depressed Lao Zhao immediately teared up and kept holding Jin's hand tightly. Perhaps only Uncle Jin understood his feelings at this time. And this time, Uncle Jin gave him a haircut more seriously than before, because he knew clearly it was likely the last time he would cut Lao Zhao's hair. After returning home, Lao Zhao's son took out 200 yuan as a thank you to Uncle Jin. But Uncle Jin didn't accept it. Then he walked away without a word. Half a month later, several old friends gathered to play mahjong. They learned that Lao Zhao had passed away. People will die sooner or later. He died at his son's home after all. The one. He died without a word. Nowadays, the competition in society is so fierce. Let's think about our children. And children are not easy. In order not to cause trouble for his children, after Jin came out, he called the funeral home to inquire about the required procedures. But the answer he got was to prepare a photo and a 500-word life resume. Then they introduced various specifications to him and discounts. The elderly Jing couldn't understand what the other person was saying, so he hung up the phone. At night, when it was quiet, Jing groomed himself and turned on the old radio and talked about his legendary and ordinary life. My surname is Jing and my name is Guangtai. I was born in Beijing in 1912. It was called piping at that time. I studied with Mr. Wang Shuai. We studied the 4 books. I've read 100 Families, 3 character classics, and Jin Ziwen. I studied Analects of Confucius, Mencius, and 5 classics. I learned learned a lot of characters after reading. But I wasn't a good student. I learned martial arts. But I failed in the martial arts world. I wanted to learn. I wanted to be a Wu Sheng in opera. But my parents didn't agree. There's nothing I can do. I want to learn haircuts. Uncle Jin spoke intermittently, narrated the events that happened over the past 90 years. The small tape, how could it record his wonderful life? The next morning, Jin was about to go out, when he happened to meet the aunt from the neighborhood committee to deliver his ID card. Uncle Jin took the ID card with a 20-year validity, and then silently put it in his pocket. Then he was going to get a haircut for his friend. Before he walked far, Jin felt his vision was blurred, which made him feel that he was about to die. So he quickly stopped the car and sat down on the roadside just as he was about to tidy up his silver hair. He suddenly fainted. A constant stream of people passed by him, and nearby, children were playing. I don't know how long it passed. Jin finally woke up. The lively child at this moment formed a stark contrast with the old man at sunset. Then he went to the barber shop under the city gate. Shaving or not? Yes. Okay, what kind of haircut do you want? What kind of haircut do you want? 2 folds on top. 2 sides for money. You Ray particular. I'm going to take a photo tomorrow. Short hair, doesn't he look good? As the old saying goes, a new haircut makes you ugly for 3 days. No matter how good the craftsmanship is. You Ray, an expert. Looking at the pre-shot portrait, Uncle Jin couldn't help staring at it for a long time, until the old clock on the wall rang like himself. Uncle Jin fell asleep. The next day, when his son came to visit him, he found that his father didn't get up as usual. Seeing the photo on the table, his son felt sad. Fortunately, Uncle Jin woke up at this time. He only knew the clock on the wall stopped. So he overslept. And at this time, the son also understood. His father insisted on taking a good photo. Dad, why didn't you tell me these things? Are you okay? You have a grandson. The baby weighs 4 kilograms. I came here to tell you. You Ray a grandfather now. Isn't it? In a blink of an eye, I became a grandfather. After that, Jin took out the showbox again and prepared to give his son some more money, but his son refused this time. Dad, no need. I really don't need it. I just came to tell you. Dad, I'll keep this for you. After his son left, Jin packed up the watch that had accompanied him for half his life and packed it as if he had sent away an old friend. Then he pedaled his tricycle to the old customer's house for a haircut as usual. In his life, witnessed countless people's births and deaths. He also took life calmly in ordinary life. Life should be full of human touch. And being transparent and magnanimous is enough.